Shot counting, making the point. In this video, we'll be looking at rolls that make a point, and most always this will be when we're priming or attacking our opponent. Now, if we can learn to do this very quickly, we can substantially increase our chances of playing with a correct strategy. As with most positions, there are many factors to consider, and shot counting is only one. So we may have a position where we have to look at shot counting. We have to consider the pip count and the race lead. We have to look at threats on both sides of the board. We have to consider match score if we're playing a match. We have to consider how many gammons we may win or we may lose in a position. And we're looking at the overall risk and reward of our choices of play. And with multiple things to look at, as you get better at backgammon, you start to see all these things and try to incorporate them into your game. If you spend too much time on just one aspect of the game is just going to slow down. And if you're playing in tournaments where you're playing on a clock, that can be a very bad thing. So in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how I do shot counting when I'm looking at making a point. So here's our first position. Our opponent has rolled 1-2, and they don't want to get trapped because that's pretty much a guaranteed loss. So they step up with the 1-2. And we look at this position and what? Ziggy. Okay, Ziggy, calm down. This is not about cubes. We're just looking at some shot counting here. Okay, sorry about that. Ziggy is correct, though. In positions like this, you do have to consider the cube and how many shots make our 4-point, and in this case, make the 4-point and put our opponent on the bar is a very important part of this position and needs to be considered before we make our decision. Are we going to cube or are we going to roll our dice? Now, I always start with a question or a statement. And in this position, positions like this, we're going to look at this and realize that making a point is important. And if we can make a point and put our opponent on the bar, that's a very key move that we can do in this position. And so we look at this and we ask how many shots out of 36, how many rolls out of 36 do we not only make a point, but we make our 4-point and put our opponent on the bar. If that percentage is high, we probably have an easy cube. If it's lower than we thought it was, then maybe we have to look at some more things before we make this critical decision. So we start with our statement and our question, how many rolls out of 36 make the 4-point? Now, the way I do this is I always start with the combinations like 1-2, 1-4 that make this point, and then I count the doubles. So an example of this would be rolling 1-1, where we can make this point and hit our opponent. So I do the combos. I start from the lowest number and work my way up. So I'll do all the combos that contain a 1, then I'll do all the combos that contain a 2 and 3 and then 4, etc. And then I do the doubles, again, lowest to highest, 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, etc. So let's look at this position. I'll go through this several times so you can see exactly how I do this. Starting with our combos, 1-2 makes a point, 1-3 makes a point, 1-4 makes a point. We go to our next lowest number, which is 2. 2-3 makes a point, 2-4 makes a point. Our next number is 3. 3-4 makes a point. No other combos make a point. 1-1, now we go to our doubles, starting with the lowest to the highest. 1-1 makes a point. 2-2 makes our point. 3-3 makes our point. Actually, and really powerful. And 4-4 makes our point. 5-5 and 6-6 do not. Now that turns out to be 16 out of 36. We know 18 of 36 is 50%, and from our percentage video, we simply subtract 5.5. So 44.5% of the time, we make a point right where we want to make that point and put our opponent on the bar. So just under 50%. Now let me show you the actual order and exactly how I count this so that we don't have to go back and add up all of these that we just talked about. We're counting as we go, and when we get to the end of it, we have our number. So we're not doing any review of it or adding. We simply count and we stop when we're done. So we have to remember that our combos are always 2. So for the roll 1, 2, there's 2. And for doubles, like for example 4, 4, there's only 1 of 4. So the combos, we count by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And here is the order that I do it, lowest to highest. And this is exactly how I say it, actually in my mind as I play. It goes like this, starting with 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 1, 1, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 out of 36. 18 would be 50%. We're going to subtract 5.5 because we're 2 away, 44.5%. So I did that in about, what was that, 10, 12, 13 seconds? Because I do it the same way every single time, consistency is king, I can do it that quickly, but with a little bit of practice, you'll be surprised how quickly you can learn these and apply this. So I'll do this one more time, showing you the answer as we go along. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 11, 12, 13, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16 out of 36. We know that 18 is 50%, so 16 would be 45.5%. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 out of 36. About 10 seconds. And with practice, you can actually do it that quickly. So let's look at a variation of this position for a little more practice. And, okay, stop. Ziggy, stop. This has nothing to do with the cube. We're practicing a counting technique here. Okay, sorry about that. I think Ziggy got into a little caffeine this morning. So we're going to look at this position here, where we have an extra attacker within 6. So now we have, instead of 4, we have 5 attackers. This obviously is better, but we still want to know, we're curious, how many rolls make our 4-point. So we simply use the method low, combos first, work our way up, then we count our doubles, low, work our way to 6, 6, 1, 5, 1, 1 to 6, 6. So for this position, number of rolls that make our 4-point. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. We go to our doubles. 21, 22, 23, 24. No 5, 5, no 6, 6. That makes the 4-point. So now we're at 24, and if you remember, that's 2/3 of 36. So we are at 66.6%, 2/3. If you don't remember that, you still have your technique times 3 minus 10% from our percentage video. 24 times 3 is 72, minus about 7, so 65%. Very quick estimation of the percentage of time that we make our 4-point. And here's what this one looks like. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, no 5, no 6, so we have 24 out of 36, times 3 minus about 10%, so about 65%, about 2/3 of the time, we make a point on our opponent's head. And as you learn to count these, this is also a great learning tool, because we went from 45% to make this point up 20% to 65% simply by adding one more builder attacker that's within 6 away. That's a direct hit. So that is the simple method and a quick method when you're trying to count rolls that make a specific point. Even if this checker was, say, here, you could count the rolls that hit this checker and make a point, but you could also count the rolls that simply just make this point without hitting, and the same technique applies. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. It's very quick once you learn it. So we'll do 2 more examples just to finish this video for practice, and very powerful tool for very quickly counting the number of combinations that make a point. Our third position here, how many rolls make our 5 point? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We know that 9 out of 36 is 27%. We know from our percentage video, we just add 2.8, so we're 27.8% chance of making this point. And here's this position. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 9, and 10. 10 out of 36. 9 is 25%. We're 1 over that. We had 2.8. Just about 28% of the time we make this point. In our fourth and last position, how many rolls make our 4 point? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, that's our 2, 2, 15, 5, 5. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, and here's our math on that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 1, 1 works, 2, 2 works, and 5, 5 works for 15 rolls. 15 times 3 is 45. Subtract about 10%, brings us to a little over 40% of the time we make this point. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 out of 36 rolls. With a little bit of practice, it can be very quick.